Have you ever noticed that the more you give, the more you seem to disappear? It feels unfair, doesn't it? You're always there, always willing, always trying, and yet somehow people just stop seeing you. Carl Jung might have called this an invisible mechanism of disregard. In the human mind, what's always available tends to lose its value. In this video, we're diving into a truth many people avoid. Always being available can quietly erase your identity. Carl Jung left us clues about this, clues no one teaches, but every sensitive soul has felt deep down. By the end, you'll understand why stepping back isn't coldness, it's wisdom, and how your absence can be the cry that finally brings you the presence you deserve. Have you ever noticed that the ones who offer the most support are often the ones who get the least in return? There's a silent exhaustion that comes with always being available, and it's not physical tiredness, it's soul-deep fatigue. The soul of someone who loves too much, helps too much, waits too long, and is rarely remembered. At first, it looks noble, but in the end, it's loneliness disguised as sweetness. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Your constant availability may actually be a way of running from yourself, from the emptiness that surfaces when you're not filling everyone else's needs. But no one told you that. You were taught that kindness means giving, not protecting yourself. But the kind of kindness that drains you isn't kindness. It's self-denial. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you erase a piece of yourself. And over time, that turns into silent anger, not toward others, but toward yourself. Because deep down, you start to realize you're betraying the one person you should love most, yourself. Most people make this mistake. They believe that being constantly present will earn them love. But the human heart doesn't work that way. The more it has, the less it feels. This applies to everything, including your presence. It's harsh, but it's true. Too much giving makes others blind to your worth. You become background noise in the life of someone who should be listening closely. The always there turns into doesn't matter. And then comes the question that cuts deep. How can something as beautiful as giving end up hurting so much? This is where the shift begins. When you realize that love needs boundaries in order to survive. Drop a comment. Have you ever felt drained from always being the available one? Share your story. It might be the beginning of a collective healing. From a young age, we're taught that being nice is the right thing to do, that pleasing others, smiling and giving in, is a sign of good character. But what no one tells you is what Jung discovered, that often this image of being a good person is just a mask, an unconscious way to avoid conflict, abandonment, and the fear of not being loved. In these cases, kindness becomes a trap, and you don't even realize it. Carl Jung called this the persona, the version of ourselves we show to the world. And yes, it has its purpose, but when we cling too tightly to that image, we lose touch with who we really are. The more we try to be good, the emptier we feel, because we're not being ourselves, we're just playing a role. Have you ever been afraid to say no because you didn't want to seem selfish, chosen to stay silent just to avoid disappointing someone? These are clear signs that your kindness might be contaminated. Jung would say it's your savior complex trying to keep you safe, but no one can save themselves by carrying the whole world on their back. Here's the hard truth no one wants to face. The need to be accepted often comes from an unhealed emotional wound. Maybe you try to be useful so you won't be discarded, available so you won't be forgotten, visible because you're afraid of becoming invisible. But that's not love. That's emotional survival. Most people make this mistake. They confuse being good with being submissive. and they believe that pleasing everyone all the time will protect them from rejection. But the effect is the opposite. People start to sense that you're erasing yourself, and they treat you as someone with no self-worth. As sad as it sounds, it's real, and it's common. Now here's a hard but necessary question. Is your kindness a choice, or a desperate attempt to be loved? Share your thoughts in the comments. Being honest with yourself is the first step toward emotional freedom. There's a kind of silence that hurts more than 1,000 words. The silence of someone you once helped when you're the one in need. And that's when reality hits. You were there for everyone, but no one is there for you. Carl Jung would call this a call from the unconscious, a moment when the soul cries out for you to wake up. Have you ever caught yourself staring at your phone, waiting for a message that never comes? Felt that tightness in your chest when you realized that, even after giving your all, no one even noticed your absence? That emptiness isn't just about being alone. It's about disappointment, unseen effort, wasted care. And slowly, it starts to wear down your spirit. Jung said we need to integrate the shadow, to accept the parts of us that hurt, that rage, that feel deeply. Because this emptiness isn't weakness. It's a sign your soul is exhausted from giving without receiving. But no one teaches you how to deal with that. They just tell you to be strong, move on, and keep giving, as if you were an endless well. Most people make this mistake. They keep trying to earn affection from those who've already shown they don't value it. And the more they try, the more they lose themselves. The real issue isn't just being unappreciated. It's not listening to yourself. You've gotten so used to being everyone else's support that you forgot what it feels like to be supported. And when you finally stop and look inward, you realize that all you ever wanted was mutual care. A "how are you?" a "tell me about you." But those small gestures have become rare. That's when it clicks. The world doesn't change just because you love hard. Sometimes love also means knowing when to stop. Now tell me, honestly, have you ever felt this kind of emptiness, that pain of giving everything and getting silence in return? Share it below. Your pain deserves to be seen. In nature, everything rare is valuable: gold, silence, peace, presence. And the same is true in human relationships. When you're always available, always ready, always there, your presence starts to lose its impact. Carl Jung would say that the collective unconscious places higher value on what feels scarce, and unfortunately, the human heart works that way too. Have you noticed how people suddenly reach out only after you pull away? That's no coincidence. It's a reflection of a deep psychological pattern. Scarcity activates desire. When something is always within reach, the mind overlooks it. But when it disappears, the mind snaps to attention. What was once ordinary suddenly feels essential. This isn't about playing games or manipulating people. It's about learning to value yourself. Carl Jung spoke about the importance of recognizing your own worth without relying on external validation. And sometimes, silence and absence are the only ways others begin to hear the noise you made just by existing. Most people make the mistake of trying to fix someone's disinterest by being even more present. But that only speeds up the process of being overlooked. The real key isn't giving more, it's giving wisely. Those who pull back at the right time send a powerful message without saying a word. It's hard to admit, but the truth is simple. The ones afraid to lose you will notice your absence, and the ones who took you for granted will start to miss you, because your presence, when given in the right measure, becomes power. And that power begins the moment you allow yourself to disappear. Now tell us in the comments, have you ever tested the power of stepping away and watched everything change? Share your story. Experiences like yours teach more than any theory ever could. In a world that demands constant presence, choosing to step away is almost a revolutionary act. Being selective with your attention, your time, and who has access to your inner world isn't selfish. It's self-love. Carl Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." And sometimes stepping back is the only way to truly hear your own voice. Have you noticed how it's harder to say no than yes? That's because saying yes keeps us accepted, but saying no keeps us whole. Being selective doesn't mean being distant. It means being whole. It means no longer splitting yourself to meet others' expectations. It means standing fully in your choices, your boundaries, and your energy. Most people make the mistake of thinking that to be loved, they need to be constantly available. But the truth is the opposite. The more you give yourself without boundaries, the more others begin to take you for granted. Only those who learn to protect themselves truly begin to earn respect. Because when you value yourself, you teach others to do the same. Jung often spoke about individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are. And that process requires boundaries. It takes silence, solitude, and hard decisions. You must learn not to stay where you're unseen, not to insist where you get nothing in return. Because every time you protect yourself, you send a message to the world: I am worthy. And maybe the most beautiful part of that transformation is this: you no longer have to beg for love. Your presence is felt because it's rare, it's real, it's whole. It's no longer a presence that pleads, but one that is offered only to those who truly deserve it. And that changes everything. Now tell me, have you started practicing selective presence? What was it like? Share your story in the comments. It might be exactly what someone else needs to begin. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's the beginning of healing. When you stop begging for other people's attention and start listening to your own silence, something inside you awakens. Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." And that's exactly it. Real change begins the moment you stop chasing and start turning inward. Have you ever felt that moment of deep exhaustion? Not from someone else, but from your own effort to keep proving your worth. That exhaustion is a doorway, and once you walk through it, something shifts. You stop accepting crumbs. You stop saying yes to empty invitations. You stop letting yourself be remembered only when others need something. Because now, you've placed yourself at the center of your own life. And when that happens, something almost magical occurs. You don't lose people. You discover who was never really with you. Their absence stops hurting and starts setting you free. Because everyone who walks away when you choose yourself only proves they were there as long as you kept abandoning yourself. That stings at first, but in the end, it liberates you. Most people make this mistake. They keep waiting for others to change, waiting to be seen, valued, remembered. But when you truly choose yourself, you stop waiting, because you realize your energy is far too sacred to be placed in the hands of those who don't know how to hold it. Jung reminds us, what you resist persists, what you accept transforms. And that's what this chapter is about, transformation. The pain doesn't vanish, but it changes form. It becomes strength, it becomes clarity, it becomes presence, not to please others, but to exist in truth. Now tell me honestly, when was the moment you finally chose yourself? Share it in the comments, because when you share your turning point, you help someone else find theirs. You've made it this far, and that already says a lot. Because facing painful truths is an act of courage. Today, with Carl Jung as our guide, you've come to understand that always being available isn't noble. It's dangerous. It's a quiet way of abandoning yourself in the hope of being loved. But now you have a choice. You can choose you. Remember this. Those who choose themselves teach the world how to respect their boundaries. Those who step back teach others the value of their presence. And those who stop chasing begin to be followed. It's not pride, it's not coldness, it's emotional maturity. And maybe the first real step toward your true freedom. Now tell me in the comments, which phrase in this video hit you the hardest? Share this with someone who gives too much and forgets themselves in the process. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, because here we speak our pain, so it never has to scream again.